Hello, everybody. Hello. How is everyone doing? I pray you all had an all right summer. I am here. I'm back. We are in the swing of things. I'm sorry I came out of breath. Out of breath, y'all. Had to run upstairs. Anyway, welcome to Let's Grow It Yo-Yo. I am excited to be back. What you call it, out of shape. Before we get started, as you know, some of you do know, some of you don't know, I am running for governor of Texas. So we have baskets as a fundraiser. This is the female basket. It has, I believe it's a scented candle, a vanilla scented candle, Bath and Body Works candle, a spa headband, a mirror set, hair towel, bath sponge, stress relief candle. We all need that. Hey Angie, how are you? And a set of thousand wishes lotion set. And then we have the men's basket. And this basket we have. Oh, let me tell y'all something. Before I tell y'all, I went to Bath and Body Works and sniffed this bourbon set. Baby, whomever gets this, ladies, this set right here, that bourbon set for men, game changer. Believe me when I tell you. It has a mask. It's like a long mask. You know how y'all men like to wear y'all stuff. A Powerball ticket, a set of cool water. That's the spray, the men's body stuff. A pair of socks, a package of handkerchiefs, and that is it. Those are our two baskets. They're $10 for one ticket, 3 for $15. Girl, yes, Selena. Nessa, bourbon smells delicious, and honey, wish I had somebody to buy it for. But anyway, that is it makes you want to. Anywho, this is a good show. We are gonna get started. We are gonna do Did You Know in Black History. Now listen, my eyes ain't what they used to be, so I'm gonna put these glasses on so I can read it for you, okay? Otis Frank Boykin, born August 29th, 1920, and died March 26, 1982. He was an inventor and an engineer. He invented the electrical resistors used in computers that we use, missile guidance, and guess what, y'all? The pacemaker. Be quiet, Brittany. I know. My glasses, honey. I can't see. In 1946 and 1947, he studied at Illinois State Institute of Technology, but dropped out after 2 years because he could not afford his tuition. But he later stated that he left for employment opportunities and had no time to return and finish his degree. Boykin patented 26 devices. Now, he didn't graduate from college, y'all, but he got 26 devices patented. Baby, sometimes you don't need a college degree. You just need a vision, a purpose, and a will to do whatever you want to do, all right? He's best known for inventing multiple different electrical devices that for guided missiles, the IBM computers, and the pacemaker. The pacemaker, if you all not know, is what goes inside your body to regulate your heart. So for those people who have heart conditions, this is it. This is it for you. This is it. That is your Did You Know in Black History. Tonight's topic is going to be a very interesting one because, you know, we just had an election last year, and then, you know, now we're still dealing with people saying that it was fixed. It was a fixed election. We have governors in different states trying to deter people, succeeding in some states, deter people from voting. would like to take you back to the Voting Rights Act of 1965. It was derived to prohibit racial discrimination in the United States. The Voting Rights was designed to enforce the 14th and 15th Amendments, right? The Voting Rights Act was to help minorities, racial minorities, African American, Latinos, Asian, non-whites, the right to vote. The Act's general provision provide nationwide protections for voting. Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act is general provision that prohibits every state and local government from imposing any voting laws that result in discrimination against racial and language minorities. Other general provisions specifically outlaw literacy tests and similar devices that will historically be used to disenfranchise racial minorities. So what does that say? That is to say that you cannot, no state at that time, once this Voting Rights Act was passed, they can't say, oh, you're black, you can't vote. Oh, you don't have this, so you can't vote. You're not a landowner or something, you can't vote. So it helped people get out and vote, right? So now we have, fast forward to today, governors, as in Texas governor, who mostly southern states, Texas, Georgia, Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, Arizona, and I don't even know what's going on with Arizona. At some point, I'm still confused about that. But they are adapting stricter voting laws. And I don't like the fact that they have stricter voting laws because it affects elderly, people with disabilities, and students, right? When I say elderly, like some elderly people don't have IDs. They have, like if you're a vet, a lot of elderly men, homeless people have their VA card, which is actually a federal issued card that you get for going to the VA center. It may not have your address on it, but it has your picture, and you actually can scan the new one has your information if you scan it. So they're saying they cannot use that as an identification, but you can use it to get on a flight. Yeah, you could use your ID card, your veteran ID card, to get on an airplane. Can you believe that? Yes, you can. But they're saying you can't use that. Students that are in, let's say people are going to Texas A&M, Prairie View, Texas Southern, students that came from out of state that decided to go to school in Texas and they want to vote. Usually they do mail-in ballots or they go to their home state, but they're trying to say students like that can't vote, which is crazy because they're in school, right? And if you're in school here in the state of Texas and you have a student ID card, let's say you don't have a driver's license. Now I know, but let's think about it. Some people that live in rural places, they drive, but they don't have a driver's license. They might have a student ID card, and you could use your student ID card to go vote. Can't do that now. That law is gone. You cannot use your student ID to vote. Y'all do look kind of good in these glasses, don't they? Okay, anyway. And they're trying to roll back in mail-in ballots, which I think is kind of crazy because military personnel, we used to, still do, mail in our votes. If you're out of the country, let's say Iraq, Afghanistan, Korea, or Germany, wherever, you're still able to vote. But they're trying to keep them from mailing in votes, saying they are not legitimate. But they are. We get the same thing that the senators use. If the governors don't want to go, the president doesn't want to go to the polls, they use mail-in votes. They've been doing it forever. So now they're saying they're trying to roll back on mail-in votes. Now that's going to affect a lot of people. A lot of people. Again, the elderly, that some people, they can't get out their house, or they just use it because it's convenient. Not only convenient, but they may not have transportation. Oh, let's not forget, I know here in the state of Texas, you cannot, I repeat, cannot, if you go to a polling site, have a chair. Now, you know, like I know, they have these long lines of people that are standing out there in sleet, rain, hail, hot weather, whatever, and they bring a chair to sit down in. Well, you can't do that no more. You know how the polling people used to come and drink water? They can't do that. They're deterring you from being comfortable to go to vote. Now, some else like my father, he can't stand up for hours at a time to wait to go into voting. Last year, we were able to do a drive-through voting. Can't do that no more. Nope, can't do drive-through voting either. So, again, the mainly people that's going to it affects is minorities, Latinos, African Americans. So we have to find a way. That's why it's so important to make sure that you go out there and you protest, not destroy. Protest, write your congressmen, write your governors, your state representatives, because it affects us as people. Now, the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, this will restore the original voting right law. Now, I guess y'all are wondering, how can they change a law that was put in place? Well, guess what? It affects us, the minorities. It's gonna get changed. So I'm serious. It is just gonna get changed. Angeline says, so sad in every way. A lot of people have disabilities. Correct. I hate being around people. Let me stop. That's true. But I get a lot of anxiety around people, especially people I don't know. So that's something that I'm trying to work on. But standing in the poll line for hours is a lot. And plus, I'm gonna get to that. The early voting that we do here in Texas, I know the law that was passed, they're trying to take that out. That, you know, we had like 2 or 3 weeks before the election, something like that. Well, now they're only going to do a week, and it ain't going to be on the weekends. Who has time when I know I work? There's a lot of people that I know work. I don't see why people don't understand that. Oh, Saturday and Sunday is the best time for me to get out there and go vote. But now they're taking that away. Let me get back to it. Okay. Every eligible American must and should be able to cast their ballots on election day or an early voting period if they can. However, there has been a lot of push from southern states by closing voting polls. Texas, for instance, has closed hundreds of polling sites. This would cause for fewer voter turnouts. Texas. Why, you ask? Some of the polling sites in rural areas, and because most of the people in rural areas may not have transportation to go to their polling site, to go to other polling sites, they will not vote. And this is mainly Latino voters. So, all those people, Latinos that live like in Amarillo or Lord, I can't even think of the other one that starts with A. Down there past San Antonio, in these rural states, cities in Texas, can't come out and vote because they don't have the polling sites. They have to drive hours, sometimes 2 or 3 hours, to get to a polling site. Who wants to do that? That's not fair, right? When they had a polling site, it may have been a church, a post office, somewhere for somebody to go in and vote. Angeline says early voting is so important. Get out early, folks. Well, Angeline, honey, you may not be able to get out early and vote. Not in this state. Let me just say this is for Texas only. I forgot to research other states, but I was researching my state. From what Governor Abbott put in place, the early voting ain't gonna be for like 2 days, 2 or 3 days, and it probably is not going. He's trying to keep it off of a Saturday and Sunday, so it'll be during the week. And my thing is, if we work during the week, some people go in at 7 and get off 4 or 5 o'clock, and he's trying to shorten the polling hours. Now, see, that's where the problem that I have with everything is because if you shorten the polling hours, nobody's going to be able, let me rephrase that. We are not going to be able to get out and vote, right? The minorities. So we have to work on, again, this is why it was so important for everybody. It's not just the presidency we have to worry about. We have to worry about your mayors, your councils, your governors, your senators, your House of Representatives in your state, because they also pass laws in your state. And if it's not readily in your state, if you're not knowing what's going on as far as voting and everything in your state, then it hinders you and hinders the process of what we're going to do. Okay, McLennan County, which is Waco, closed 44% of its polling sites from 2012 to 2018, despite the fact that its population grew more than 15,000 people per year. And that is from theguardian.com. Now, how does that make sense? Now, Waco is a town in Texas. Its population is growing, right? People are moving that way, or Dallas or Houston or Austin, but older people are moving there. But they have closed 44% of this polling sites. So let's say you're in McLennan County and your site is by Baylor, Baylor College? And they closed that one down. I'm not sure which sites they closed. I'm going to have to look that up. They closed that one down, and you have to drive 30 minutes up the road. Waco is kind of big, not probably going north to south, but east to west it is. So you're going to have to go to another site 30 minutes down the road. Let's say you don't have transportation. You have to rely on someone to come get you. Now, here's the caveat, the kicker for this one, y'all. Y'all ready? They don't want you to even ask people for rides. You know how you have some people that get vans and take people too? They don't even want you to do that. They don't even want you to do that. Now, what kind of sense does that make? If you have someone that you can take to a poll, take them. I'm asking my cousin. She lived with me. Whatever. Get out and vote. Vote, vote, vote. Just a few days last week, the House of Representatives passed a bill to restore the VRA, the Voting Rights Act. With the majority of Democrats, 212 votes, yes, and of course, all Republicans said no. But since Democrats have the majority in the House, the bill was passed. Now our problem is going on to Senate. They are out. They're not in session right now. I think they come back next week. So once they come back next week, this bill will be on their floor. Now, Mitch McConnell had said that he will not get this bill to pass, which I feel is not a good thing. It's not something that will help Americans, right? And I believe I don't want to make it a Democrat, Republican, white, black, Latino thing. I really don't. But my thing is, this law was put in place in 1965 because blacks were not allowed to vote. Women had the right to vote. White women had the right to vote before blacks could vote. Now you had a law that was put in place to help blacks vote. Let me take my glasses off. Whew. That to help the rights for minorities. I'm not just going to say black, but minorities to vote. You have this law put in place. This law that any state in the United States cannot discriminate against you for your disability, for your race, for your reading comprehension. They could not discriminate. Elderly, handicapped, they could not discriminate against you. This, now that different states are making up their own laws, right? And I said the reason why the Voting Rights Act is so important because it needs a federal oversight. Yes, state law, the state people can govern their state how they see, but they have to have a federal law as guidance. So if you're just down here running amok, doing what you want to do, saying you can't vote, you can't vote, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't, and there's no federal guidance, the state is not held accountable, and then minorities will not be able to vote. We won't be able to, to vote. Even with me, my situation, I'm running for governor. I'm learning so much about the state that I live in. And it amazes me how we don't know. Minorities here, they take whatever somebody says for face value. And I tell you all the time, please do your research. Because the past 5 years, I've been researching the heck out of a lot of stuff when it comes to this Constitution, rights for people, everything. You have to know your rights. But if your governor, your state representative, is not taking the time to understand, to listen to you, this is where we are, especially in the southern states, where they are saying, nope, like Georgia with Mayor Bottoms, Stacey Adams, how they went out and advocated for people to vote, got people registered. Even though there was 300 people that registered wrong, right, to vote, or shouldn't have registered or something like that. But out of that whole entire state, only 300 people. Come on, y'all. So then now if they can shut down your polling sites, make it harder for you to register, i.e., in the state of Texas, if you are off parole, I know it's Texas, Virginia, Georgia, Florida, if you have paid your restitution to the state, if you have gotten a letter from the governor saying that you had served your time and you are now off of obligation to that state, it's a letter from the governor, right? That you have to have in your hand before you can register to vote. Do you know that they're trying to take that right away from y'all felons too? Yes. But that's your right because you served your time to your state, i.e. in jail, did your probation, you got that piece of paper saying that you were off. They're trying to take that right from you too. Now, not only that, it's just not just the voting. Even in your going to your state capital, like now, this whole gun law that we have that was passed, that anybody can carry and don't need a license. It's not really you don't have to have a license to carry. You can carry, but you still need a license to conceal. I think that's how it's written. Or you don't need a license to conceal. So I read it over and over from 3 different sites. I wish I would have been there when they took a vote on that. Because so does that supersede the fact that felons can't carry a weapon anymore? Can they get in trouble for carrying a weapon? Not the way that law is written up. That starts September 1, tomorrow, for the state of Texas. In that new law that he wrote, he's kicking his own self in his behind. Because it does not say that felons cannot. Not in that law. Right? However, if I was a felon and I was in that situation, I would be very careful because they can still get you without getting you. Does that make sense? They're not, if they stop you and you have a gun, a weapon, sorry, and you're in the vehicle and you are a felon, they are not allowed by this new law to ask you, do you have a license to carry? They are not allowed to ask you that. So Brittany said, girl, you know I can't step till my glasses off. Brittany says, who is the one that has the law? What do you mean, who is the one that has the law? I don't understand the question. The state has the law. What are you trying to say? What site? Help me understand. I don't understand your question. But what was I saying? Oh, if you go and you have the weapon in there, they are not supposed to ask you. However, if they run your license and you were driving and it shows that you are a felon, you could get in trouble. Oh, who has the Oh, that it was passed? I don't have it in front of me. I had it written down, but it's in my folder over there, and I don't want to get up and go to it. But I'll let you know off. I'll put it on my what? Okay, Brittany, what do you mean? Was it just Texas? As far, oh yeah, it was Texas. It was Texas. I'm sorry. Are you talking about the gun? Yes, it's just Texas. As far as I know, I haven't looked for any other state. I'm just only looking for my state because I needed to know what I'm running against. Now, let me go ahead and tell you felons now. I'm not saying, because I am running for governor of Texas, I am not saying that I want you not to be able to carry a gun, but I want it to be done legally. Does that make sense? I want you to be able to, I still believe that you should have a license to carry. Why? Because then anybody could get a gun, and then everybody out here shooting and running them up, and everybody shooting everybody, right? No. Like I stated, if you have, for me, you want a weapon, you want to go get you a gun, do it the right way. Go to a pawn shops, I think pawn shops even, do background checks, get your background. Now listen, I don't believe if you don't have an aggravated charge, if you in jail, you went to jail for some marijuana, a little bit of cocaine, I don't think you need, why you can't get a gun? Ain't like you was in there killing, ain't like you went for murder. Now you're murderers, I'm sorry. I don't believe you should be able to have a weapon. But let me say this. If you are in your home and there's a weapon in your home, you have every right to defend your house. You can have it registered to your wife, your mother, your cousin, your brother. And if you're home alone and somebody breaks in your house or threatens you in your home, state law states that you can protect yourself with a weapon. Now, for me, that's part of voting. That's part of voting. Yes, everybody would say, oh, I want to be able to carry, But there's consequences when you do carry and you have a felony. What I mean by that is, again, if you're in your vehicle and you were stopped and you were driving, bumping your music, and again, you don't have a concealed carry license, you have a weapon, they ask you if there's any weapons in the car, you say, yeah, and they pull you up. They can't arrest you. They can't ask you if you have a license or nothing. They don't, now with this new law, they're not supposed to ask you that. But if they run your tags and run your license and it shows that you are a felon and you have a weapon in the car and you're by yourself, you can get arrested and charged with a gun charge. So please be careful with this new law. But if you are in your home and you have a weapon, you can defend your house by any means, right? So with all that, we have to get back to our votes. Our votes, like the law that was just passed about the guns, the Voting Rights Act, the voting rights here in Texas. We all need to have our voices need to be heard, right? Right. I went to a rally 3 weeks ago in Austin. It was a rally for voting rights, raising the minimum wage. It was a whole slew of other things that we walked. It was a 3-day march. I didn't go all 3 days because I had to work, but I did go the last day. And we marched around the Capitol and stood on the Capitol steps. And they talked about your voting rights in the state that will cause a lot of rift and hardship for a lot of people. And I really want people to get out in November 2022. Not just because I'm running for governor. I don't care who's running for governor. That is your right. That is your choice to say who you want in office. Because let me tell you, my favorite quote is we the people are more powerful than the people in power. We the people are more powerful than the people. We put them in power and we can take them out of power. Please understand that your vote counts. Everything you do, everything that goes on in this country, from your local cities to your state to your federal, is all on you. They do listen. And if they didn't care, they wouldn't stifle your right to vote. My guest that was supposed to come on tonight wasn't able to come on tonight. And I really wish he would have, because he would have talked to you a whole lot more. But I really want y'all to understand this. Your vote means everything. That is your right, your God-given right. Do not allow anyone to take your vote, to take your voice. Do not allow, hi, Miss Valerie, do not allow anyone to steal your voice, to take your vote away, because that is your right to vote. It is your right as an American. It is your right as a citizen of the United States to vote. So with this VRA Act, it is restoring everything that happened in 1965, that they cannot discriminate. They can't discriminate against you. I'm sorry, y'all. Discriminate against you by any means. Like my daughter. She voted for the first time last year. And I talk to her about politics, but sometimes she doesn't comprehend. And so I didn't tell her who to vote for. I just told her, hey, this is what we talked about. And she clicked the buttons herself. I am not going to be able, with this new voting law, to help my daughter with the next election. I didn't tell her who to vote for again. I did not. I just said, these are the people. This is what this is for. This is what this is for. You choose. That is her right to vote. Everybody has a right to vote. We have that right as Americans, as citizens of the United States, to vote. And if we keep allowing the people in power to act like they're more powerful than we are, then we are mistaken. Because we, the people, are more powerful than the people in power. So we, the people, that means white, blacks, Latinos, Asian American, LGBTQs, anybody is more powerful than the people in power. So just like them insurrections went up there on the Capitol, which was completely and totally wrong, that I would never tell anybody to do that. But your battle is on the voting polls. Your battle to win is at the voting polls. Because they gonna come out and vote. Because they want to take us backwards. Right? Instead of us moving forward and progressing forward. So, your right to vote, if they didn't think that we had the right or our voice didn't matter, they wouldn't be trying to take it away so badly. And they wouldn't say that we were still in an election. Because he lost by over 7 million votes. He lost with over 7 million votes. So again, go vote, go vote, go vote. I think there's a city here in Texas, certain cities are having a special election. Find out if it's your city and go vote. Councilmen, councilwomen, get your people out and vote. It is your duty, it is your job, it is your obligation to make everybody in your city that's eligible to vote. But not with this crazy. If you have listen, if you have a state issue ID, you have the right to vote. If you have a federal government issue ID, you have the right to vote. Because I do believe they were trying to say your military ID they cannot use, which is wrong. Because if you are in the military or retired, that is your right to use your military ID. It's a federal issue ID card. So please, 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 please get out and vote when it's time to get out and vote. Not just in Texas, but all across the United States. From the top to the bottom, from the east to the west, get out and vote. Get out and vote. Don't allow people up here to keep you from your God-given right. I'm speaking to you. I'm speaking to you. I'm speaking to you. Y'all God's given right to vote. So with that being said, I'm going to close out and look at your locals, city, states, and see if they have an election coming up and get out there and vote. Register to vote. Register. You go to your DMV and vote. You can go online to vote.org and put in your zip code and they'll tell you how to register to vote. I think it's also, I know DMV. What is the other place? I just went blank. I know DMV for sure and vote.org. I know for sure them two places you can go and register to vote and you get your little voter ID registration card. You have to have that. Now, hold on. You have to have that when you go vote. That's proof of who you are, but you also need a voter ID. Now, listen, if you don't have an ID card, if you know somebody don't have an ID card and they, for whatever reason, take them to the DMV and pay $25 and get an ID card with their address on it. That's all you got to do. That's it. And go vote. Vote, vote, vote. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you so much because I completely went blank. The county register office. You can go register to vote. Get out there and get your registration on so you can vote in your city's election or your state election or even the federal election because it is almost time. It's almost time, y'all. Okay? 3 places. Vote.org, your DMVs, and the county registered office. You can register to vote. Your voice matters. If your voice didn't matter, they wouldn't be trying so hard to silence you. Don't let them take your power away. Don't let them take your power away. We have the power. I thank you very much, and you all have a great and wonderful night. Love you.